Hey, Vikings faithful. What's good, Skull Nation? We're diving into some gut-punching Vikings news from the preseason opener against the Houston Texans, and trust me, it's a roller coaster of emotions. The Vikings walked away with a 20-10 win, but the cost? 2 brutal injuries that have us all holding our breath. Stick with me as we unpack the latest on Rondale Moore, Zeke Correll, and what's shaking up the depth chart. Picture this: US Bank Stadium, the crowd roaring, and then silence. Our new wide receiver, Rondale Moore, goes down hard on a punt return, and the vibes shift instantly. This isn't just a tweak. It's a season ender, and it's got us all feeling the sting. So, what does this mean for our WR room and special teams? Let's break it down scene by scene and figure out how the Vikings are bouncing back. Here's the teaser. A pretty significant knee injury, a broken ankle, and a punt returner battle that's heating up with Lucky Jackson and Silas Bolden. Can the Vikings turn this heartbreak into a comeback? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's get into it, Skull. The scene at US Bank Stadium on August 9, 2025, was electric as the Vikings kicked off their preseason against the Houston Texans. But in the second quarter, the energy took a hit. Wide receiver Rondale Moore, our speedster signed in March to bring some spark, was out there as the #1 punt returner, ready to make a statement. Then, in a flash, he's tackled hard by Texans linebacker Jamal Hill, and he's not getting up. Moore grabs his left knee, and the stadium goes quiet. Trainers rush out, and soon, he's carted off with a towel over his head, pounding the cart in frustration. Coach Kevin O'Connell called it heartbreaking, and later confirmed it's a pretty significant knee injury, with an MRI needed to know more. This is a guy who missed all of 2024 with a right knee injury, a dislocated kneecap, per Vikings special teams coordinator Matt Daniels. This isn't just a loss for the stat sheet. It's a blow to the heart of the team. Moore was poised to be a gadget player, a dynamic piece in O'Connell's creative offense. What's your take, Vikings fans? How much does this hurt our depth, especially with Jordan Addison suspended for the first 3 games? Let me know below. The Vikings confirmed the worst on August 12 via their official X account. Rondale Moore's injury is season-ending, and he's been placed on injured reserve. This is a tough pill to swallow, especially since Moore, a former second-round pick by the Cardinals in 2021, was looking to rewrite his story after a brutal 2024 with the Falcons. That year, he tore his right ACL in training camp, and now, almost exactly a year later, his left knee betrays him. Reports from ESPN and Vikings Wire suggest it's not another ACL tear, which is a small mercy, but the lack of a specific diagnosis keeps us guessing. O'Connell's words paint a grim picture. It's one of the most painful things for me as a head coach when I feel that emotion. Moore's teammates rallied around him, showing the love and support he'll need for another long rehab. The question now is, how do the Vikings fill this void? Moore was more than a depth receiver. He was our top punt returner on the first unofficial depth chart. Who steps up? Is it time for a new face to shine, or do we look outside the roster? Share your predictions in the comments, Skull Nation. As if Moore's injury wasn't enough, the Vikings took another hit in the same game. Undrafted rookie center Zeke Correll, out of NC State, went down in the 4th quarter. X-rays confirmed the worst: a fractured right ankle, a brutal injury for a guy fighting for a roster spot. Coach O'Connell didn't sugarcoat it, and on August 12th, the Vikings waived Correll with an injury designation. Correll was listed as the 3rd-string center behind Ryan Kelly and Michael Juergens, so his role was limited, but this still stings. A broken ankle typically means 8 to 10 weeks out, per Vikings territory, which could see Correll sidelined until October, if he's back with the team at all. As an undrafted free agent with $65,000 guaranteed, he was a long shot, but this injury might close his 2025 chapter. What's next for the offensive line? Losing depth is never ideal, especially in a league where injuries pile up. Do you think the Vikings need to make a move for another center, or can Juergens and Kelly hold it down? Drop your thoughts, and let's keep the conversation going. The Vikings didn't waste time addressing the offensive line hit. On August 11th, they claimed guard Michael Gonzalez via waivers, a move announced on their official X account. Gonzalez, a new face to bolster the interior line, steps in as the team looks to shore up depth after Correll's injury. It's a quick response, but the question is whether it's enough. Gonzalez joins a group that includes Ryan Kelly, Michael Juergens, Will Fries, Donovan Jackson, and Blake Brandel, among others. Vikings.com notes that recent free agent addition Vershawn Lee, who started 13 games at center in college, could also slide into Correll's role. This move shows the front office is proactive, but the preseason is a grind, and depth will be tested. How do you feel about Gonzalez as the new guy? Can he make an impact, or is he just a placeholder? With 2 preseason games left, the Vikings need stability up front. Let's hear your take in the comments, Skull Nation. Now, let's talk about the punt returner situation, because Moore's injury left a massive hole. The Vikings' latest unofficial depth chart, released ahead of their August 17th game against the Patriots, dropped a bombshell. Lucky Jackson is now the first-team punt returner. This is huge, considering Jackson was a depth receiver last year, catching punts in the 2024 preseason. Jackson's rise is intriguing for 2 reasons. First, he's reportedly locked up the WR4 spot per A to Z Sports, which means keeping him as the punt returner simplifies the 53-man roster math. Second, he's got experience, and his performance in training camp has been turning heads. Vikings news is buzzing about his strong showing against the Texans, where he stepped up big. But here's the kicker. Silas Bolden, the undrafted free agent from Texas, was hyped as a potential punt returner steal. He's listed as Jackson's backup, so the battle's not over. Who do you want handling punts in Week 1 against the Bears? Jackson's reliability or Bolden's upside? Sound off below. Lucky Jackson's emergence is one of the feel-good stories of the Vikings preseason. This guy's been grinding, and his performance against the Texans, where he caught punts after Moore went down, showed he's ready for the spotlight. A to Z Sports reports he's been a standout in training camp, and his WR4 role feels secure. Jackson's not just a special teams guy. He's a depth receiver who could see snaps with Jordan Addison out for the first 3 games and Justin Jefferson easing back from a hamstring strain. Last year, he showed flashes in the preseason, and now he's got a chance to be a dual-threat contributor. The Vikings love versatile players, and Jackson fits the bill. What's your vibe on Lucky Jackson? Is he the answer at punt returner, or just a stopgap until someone else steps up? His story's inspiring, but the pressure's on. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the Skull spirit alive. Silas Bolden, on the other hand, is the wild card in this punt returner race. This undrafted rookie from Texas has been generating buzz, with some analysts thinking he could steal the job outright. He fielded 2 punts against the Texans, including an 8-yard return, showing he's got the guts to step into Moore's shoes. But he's still behind Jackson on the depth chart. Bolden's speed and elusiveness make him a tantalizing option. Vikings news outlets like the Viking Age have highlighted his potential as a dynamic playmaker, and his college tape at Texas shows a guy who can flip the field. The question is whether he can outshine Jackson's experience in the next 2 preseason games. Who's your pick for punt returner, Vikings fans? Bolden's got the hype, but Jackson's got the edge. Do you think Bolden can leapfrog him, or is Jackson's roster spot too secure? Hit the comments and let's debate. The Vikings' wide receiver room is feeling the heat now. With Moore on IR, Addison suspended for 3 games, and Jefferson still rehabbing that hamstring, the depth chart is looking thin. ESPN's 2025 Vikings depth chart lists Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Nailor, Lucky Jackson, and rookie Ty Felton as the top receivers. But Nailor's had a shaky camp, per X posts. This is where guys like Jackson and Felton need to step up. Felton, a 3rd-round pick from Maryland, had 2 catches for 14 yards and a forced fumble on special teams against the Texans. He's raw, but his athleticism could make him a dark horse. The Vikings need someone to fill Moore's gadget role, and Felton's versatility might be key. How worried are you about the WR depth, Skull Nation? Can Nailor, Jackson, and Felton hold it down until Addison and Jefferson are fully back? Or should the Vikings trade for a veteran, as some X posts suggest? Share your thoughts below. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture for the Vikings special teams. Moore was supposed to be the spark plug, a guy who could break open returns with his 4.3 speed. Now, with him sidelined, the punt returner role is a massive question mark, as A to Z Sports pointed out. Jackson and Bolden are in the mix, but there's also Miles Price, another depth receiver who could get a look. The Vikings' special teams have been solid under Matt Daniels, but losing Moore's explosiveness hurts. Last year, the team ranked 12th in punt return average, 9.8 yards per NFL stats, and Moore was expected to push that number higher. Now, it's up to Jackson or Bolden to keep the unit competitive. What's your take on the special teams outlook? Can Jackson or Bolden replicate Moore's potential? Or are we in for a rough start on returns? Drop your predictions in the comments, and let's keep the Skol vibes strong. The offensive line, meanwhile, is another area to watch. Zeke Correll's injury exposed the Vikings' lack of depth at center, but the addition of Michael Gonzalez and the versatility of Vershawn Lee give them options. Ryan Kelly is locked in as the starter with Michael Juergens as the backup, but the Vikings typically only carry 2 centers per Vikings territory. Gonzalez's arrival is a low-key move, but it could pay off. He's a guard, not a center, so Lee might be the one to watch if Juergens needs relief. The Vikings line has been a strength in recent years, allowing just 1.8 sacks per game in 2024, per ESPN, but injuries can derail that fast. Do you trust the Vikings' O-line depth, or should they be scouring the waiver wire for another center? With 2 preseason games left, these reps are critical. Let me know what you think, Skol Nation. The Vikings' preseason schedule isn't letting up, and the next test is against the Patriots on August 17th. Joint practices this week will be huge, especially for guys like Jackson and Bolden, who need to prove they can handle the punt returner role. Vikings News reports the team is keeping starters like Jefferson on ice for these games, so the backups will get plenty of chances to shine. O'Connell's approach to the preseason is cautious. Starters played sparingly against the Texans, and that's likely to continue. With injuries piling up, he's not risking his key guys, per the Minnesota Star-Tribune. But that means more eyes on the depth players, and the punt returner battle will be front and center. What do you want to see in the Patriots game? Are you hyped for Jackson and Bolden to duke it out? Or are you nervous about the injury bug? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's get ready for some Vikings football. Let's talk about the emotional side of this for a second. Rondale Moore's injury isn't just a roster hit. It's a gut punch for the team and the fans. O'Connell's raw emotion post-game, calling it heartbreaking, and saying there's nothing I can do, shows how much this hurts. Moore was a guy everyone was rooting for after his 2024 washout. The Vikings locker room is tight-knit, and you saw it when players rallied around Moore as he was carted off. That kind of camaraderie is what makes this team special, but it also makes these moments tougher. Moore's not alone, though. O'Connell promised the team support through his recovery. How do you cope with these injuries as a fan? Does it fire you up to see the team rally? Or are you feeling the weight of losing Moore? Share your emotions in the comments, Skol Nation. We're in this together. As we look ahead to the regular season, the Vikings face a tough opener against the Bears on September 8th. Without Moore, and with Addison suspended and Jefferson not 100%, the offense could lean heavily on guys like Lucky Jackson and Ty Felton early. The defense, meanwhile, will need to step up, especially with depth concerns after waiving linebacker Brian Asamoah, per the Vikings ex-post. The Bears game is always a bloodbath, and the Vikings need to be ready. Last year, they split the series, winning 19-13 at home but losing 12-10 in Chicago, per NFL stats. With J.J. McCarthy likely starting, per O'Connell's comments on X, the pressure's on to gel fast. What's your confidence level for Week 1, Vikings fans? Can McCarthy and the depth guys step up? Or are we in for a rocky start? Hit the comments and let's talk it out. Alright, Skol Nation, we've been through the ringer with this Vikings news, but the team's resilience is what keeps us going. From Moore's heartbreaking injury to Correll's setback and the rise of Jackson and Bolden, there's a lot to process. The Vikings are adapting, with Gonzalez stepping in and the punt returner battle heating up. Stay tuned for more updates. This is why we love this team, right? The highs, the lows, the fight to keep pushing forward. I want to hear from you. Who's your pick to replace Moore? How do you feel about the depth chart shakeup? Drop those comments below, and let's keep the Skol spirit alive. If you're as pumped as I am about this Vikings journey, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Vikings news. Share this video with your fellow fans, and let's pack US Bank Stadium with Skol chants. Until next time, Skol Vikings.